sprinkles, Santa Claus's special elf. Because everything is special with sprinkles. Santa Claus knows you're special too, and he has something to say to you. So listen close as Santa Claus shares holiday cheer with you. You can leave a special message for Santa Claus and get on the nice list at www.santaclaussays.net. Now here is the big man himself, Santa Claus!
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas to the boys and girls of the world of all ages. From every continent, you come to SantaClausSays.net to hear three things today. First of all, I want to say to all of you that Santa Claus says, be good for goodness sakes, because Christmas is getting closer and closer and closer. Here at SantaClausSays.net, we do three things for you. We share some Christmas cheer, and our elf Sprinkles helps us to do that. We share an adventure story, and we're talking about the adventure story called The Life and the Adventures of Santa Claus by Baum. And then we read a letter to Santa, and that's what we do here at Santa Claus Says. We want you to know you can always send Santa. You can reach out to Santa, and I will hear you, and I will respond to you. You can go to SantaClausSays.net and leave me a voice message, or you can leave me an email, and you leave your email by going to SantaClausSays.net/present, and I will send you a present in your email. Or you can go and you can leave me a text message there, and I get my text messages right here on my purple cell phone, and that's how I get those and send those back to you. A couple things we want you to know about, some special events we have at SantaClausSays.net as we get ready for Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve itself, December 24th, we're going to be reading this book. It is The Night Before Christmas. We want you to be here for that on December 24th, and it'll be a wonderful time to read that book. But before that, I want to remind you on December 23rd, that's a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, we have Live Breakfast with Santa. That's where you can get on YouTube with me and we can interact live. You can send me messages on the YouTube and we can go back and, I can respond to the chat there on YouTube. And I'd love to hear from you. I will have my hot cocoa and my cookies. And I hope that you have your pancakes or something else that you have for that. And if you remember, if you're different time zones in Eastern time zone, have someone help you find the right time to be on that show, and you can always watch it later on the replay. You can watch all of our shows all through the Christmas season. We have a show every day from Thanksgiving Day to Christmas here at SantaClausSays.net on YouTube, on Facebook, and on the podcast at SantaClausSays.net and on Apple Podcasts. We love to hear from you as we share this wonderful time of year together as we get closer and closer and closer to Christmas. There is our glockenspiel, our chime, boys and girls, which means it's time for us to read our story, our adventure story. Every day during Christmas, we've been reading the life and the adventures of Santa Claus here in 2023. L. Baum, he also wrote the book called The Wizard of Oz, and many of you have seen the movie The Wizard of Oz, and if you haven't seen it, have somebody tell you about it. It's kind of exciting. And some of the characters, as we read the last few chapters of this book coming up, are all about our interesting characters, kind of like in The Wizard of Oz. And this adventure story comes to us by the people of the Gutenberg Project who allow us to read this book. Today we're finishing up the chapter called Christmas Eve, and then we'll finish up the book in the next few days. And I want you to listen carefully because you can always go back and hear the rest of the book. If you go back to previous episodes of SantaClausSays.net, you can hear the entire book as we read the entire book over the course of Christmas time. And today we're finishing up the chapter called Christmas Eve. And you remember from the previous times that Santa Claus has got his deer together, and he's got the magical powers of the deer now, which are now called reindeer, in order to go all around to deliver toys to children all around. Let's begin the story and conclude this story called Christmas Eve. Let's begin. "We must go in another direction tonight," he said. Where we shall find children I have not yet visited," Santa Claus says. "And we must travel fast and work quickly, for my sack is full of toys and running over the brim." Just as the moon rose, they dashed out of Laughing Valley and across the plain and over the hills to the south. The air was sharp and frosty, and the starlight touched the snowflakes and made them glitter like countless diamonds. The reindeer leaped onward with strong, steady bounds, and Claus' heart was so light and merry that he laughed and sang while the wind whistled past his ears. With a ho, 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 and a ha, 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 and a ho, ho, ha, ha, he. Now away we go over the frozen snow, as merry as we can be. Jack Frost heard him and came racing up with his nippers, but when he saw it was Claus, he laughed and turned away again. The mother owls heard him as he passed near a wood and stuck their heads out of the hollow places in the tree trunks, but when they saw who it was, they whispered to the owlets nesting near them that it was only Santa Claus carrying toys to the children. It is strange how much these mother owls knew. Claus stopped at some of the scattered farmhouses and climbed down the chimneys to leave presents for the babies. Soon after, he reached a village and worked merrily for an hour, distributing playthings among the sleeping little ones. Then away he went, singing his joyous carol. Now away we go over the gleaming snow, where the deer run swift and free. For to girls and boys we carry the toys that will fill their hearts with glee. The deer liked the sound of his deep bass voice and kept time to the song with their hoofbeats on the hard snow. But soon they stopped at another chimney, and Santa Claus, with sparkling eyes and a face brushed red by the wind, climbed down its smoky sides and left a present for every child the house contained. It was a merry, happy night. Swiftly the deer ran, and busily their driver worked to scatter his gifts among the sleeping children. But the sack was empty at last, and the sledge headed homeward, and now again the race with daybreak began. Glossie and Flossie had no mind to be rebuked a second time for tardiness, so they fled with a swiftness that enabled them to pass the gate on which the Frost King rode, and soon brought them to the Laughing Valley. It is true, when Claus released his steeds from their harness, the eastern sky was streaked with gray, but Glossie and Flossie were deep in the forest before the day fairly broke. Claus was so wearied by his night's work that he threw himself upon his bed and went into a deep slumber. And while he slept, the Christmas sun appeared in the sky and shone upon hundreds and happy homes, where the sound of children's laughter proclaimed that Santa Claus had made them a visit. God bless him. It was the first Christmas Eve, and for hundreds of years since then, he has nobly fulfilled his mission to bring happiness to the hearts of children. What a wonderful story that we have here, boys and girls. That concludes this chapter, which is chapter 10 of the second part of the book called Christmas Eve. We just have a couple more chapters to go before we conclude the book, The Life and the Adventures of Santa Claus. And what a wonderful book it is. I hope that you're listening, and I hope that you'll go back and listen to all the previous readings that we did all through the Christmas season as we read the entire book, The Life and the Adventures of Santa Claus. Well, boys and girls, there is our Glockenspiel, which is our chimes that Sprinkles gives to us. It reminds us that it's time to read our letter to Santa. And as we do, I want to remind you that there still is time for you to send me a message. There's always time to send a message to Santa Claus. You can do that at santaclaussays.net. That's where you can leave me a voice message. That's where you can leave me a text message, which I get on my purple cell phone. And that is also where you can leave me a email, which I get at santaclaussays.net/present. And I send you a present in your email as well when you do that. I hope that you'll do that for me. But let's have our letter to Santa right now. It goes, Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. Ho, 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 ho. Isn't there a song? Isn't there a song with that title? All I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. I am 13 months old and still have only these 2 bottom teeth that you see here. And she said, Irma is her name. She sent me a picture of herself, and she's got a pretty face with only 2 bottom teeth. Can you help me? I wish everybody, including you, Santa, a Merry Christmas. Thank you. Well, we do thank you for your letter, and we hear all your requests. We hear every wish. We hear every wish that you give us. So we want to hear your Christmas wishes, and we want you to know that Santa loves to bring surprises to you. Wants to bring surprises, and I hear your wishes. Santa Claus listens to you and loves you, and I want you to leave for me, if you will, on Christmas Eve, hot cocoa and cookies. That is what I love. Well, thank you for your letters, and keep them coming at santaclaussays.net. Oh, boys and girls, there's the Glockenspiel. There's the Glockenspiel, which means it's almost time for us to say goodbye. That Sprinkles reminds us that is what it's time to do, because I got a lot of work to do. Got to get real busy for Christmas Eve. We do want to remind you that we've got several more shows to go here on santaclaussays.net to get ready for Christmas Eve. On Saturday, December 23rd, 2023, at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, we have live Breakfast with Santa, where I have jokes and funny things and special things to happen, special stories that you're going to want to hear here on santaclaussays.net. And we can have chatting back and forth on YouTube. You go to youtube.com at the @ Santa Claus Says, and you can find me there. Remember to shift your time zone if you're not in Eastern time zone to do that. You can always catch the replay of that at santaclaussays.net on YouTube, on Facebook, and on our website, santaclaussays.net, and on Apple Podcasts. You can catch it every day and go back and hear our past episodes and all the wonderful things that we have to share about Christmas time. We want you to know all of that. So we also want you to know a couple other special things we're doing. On December 24th, Christmas Eve itself, on santaclaussays.net, we are going to be reading the book The Night Before Christmas. And we always do that every year, the night before Christmas. And then on December 25th, Christmas Day itself, we're going to be reading the story of the first Christmas from the Bible, all about the birth of Jesus Christ. That's the reason for the season. That's why we have Christmas, to celebrate the birthday of Jesus. We'd like you to join us every time here on santaclaussays.net, because we love you and we listen to you, and we love to hear your Christmas wishes and know that and hear you and share the Christmas cheer. Remember, every time we come together here at Santa Claus Says, we share Christmas cheer, we share an adventure story, and we give a letter to Santa. We'll see you next time, boys and girls, here on Santa Claus Says. Until then, remember, Santa Claus says, be good for goodness sakes. Goodbye. Merry Christmas.
You're special to Santa Claus, just like Sprinkles. Get on Santa's nice list at santaclaussays.net and watch Santa Claus Says on YouTube. Tell him Sprinkles sent you.